kwasiada no nkakra waboa yen ede yakwa bedru eye homeda yi mu ye wogidie se Awurade betoa so ama adesua aye nhyira ama na aye nhyira nso ama me. I am studying a lot. Na me gidi se won so usua bebrebe. Da bia nyame ekoso ekyerɛkyerɛ yen. Saa so na me gidi se won so ohwe se obenya nyame asemu entiase. We are all hoping that at the end ye nyina ebenya Nyankopɔn asemu entiase. Baby awo bia na mesre se saa abre yi ye nyina ebesi trase. Ni abre yakoma ase na ye de ho ahye nyame nsa ebra ye hya adesua na ase. Ye de wase twedi ampon. Akwanya sonko na odi ama ye hu. Enen so be ma ye entiase wo asemu. Ne boa ye wo Yesu dimu ni asre busa. Amen. Ye da Yesu ase awa akwanya sonko odi ama ye. Na wotwe nyina mu ya desua no Revelation seminar. Ma ya to din say the sure word of prophecy shaping our lives. The sure word of prophecy shaping our lives. We believe that it is the sure word of prophecy that can shape our lives. Our lives wouldn't be the same as we take this sure word of prophecy seriously. It is extremely important, and for Seventh-day Adventists, for years we have studied this particular topic or subject, and this evening we are going to study. It is known and called the mark of the beast. Abuano ejinaye, the mark of the beast. What is the mark of the beast? Ye kan abuano ejinaye NSA. Baby ani yesu sayeti bebrebe se bebrebe be so am ye twesika bi ama sika bi aba enne be ya abuano ejinaye. I remember I had someone onye SDN na onti edisemase na o chire mu na o chire aboa no se aboa no beba na American for be ye bomb entimi enku aboa no. So people have even explained the book of Revelation literally, not knowing that the book was written in a symbolic language that needed to be decoded before we can understand. People over the years have explained it literally. Some of us as Seventh-day Adventists have also explained in so many bizarre ways. What does the Bible say? How can we understand? You see, from the beginning, we study the principles that can help us understand the book of Revelation. Before we go into today's topic, I want us to study another group of principles that can help us come to a clearer and a conclusive understanding of the mark of the beast. What are these principles? Principle number 1. I want us to understand that God is consistent. In terms of Bible prophecy, God is consistent. God is consistent. Perhaps want to know. He is always consistent. Senya Malakai edemayen. Senya me or senya tear on sisa. Nyame ensisa senya Hebrew for ngoma edemayen say yes Christ to send your tear and da apem no. Jesus never changes. God is consistent. Take this principle. But over-reliant on this principle can cause a problem. There's a second principle that we have to note. And this principle is that God is unpredictable. God is unpredictable. Nyame yentimi unpredictable. Yentimi just say ya no obey. And sometimes we act as if we know the mind of God. No, beloved, I want you to understand. Woman from man the mind said, we cannot know the mind of God. God is unpredictable. Let us take that into heart and note that God is unpredictable. First one, don't forget, God is consistent. God is consistent. Secondly, don't forget, God is unpredictable. God is unpredictable. And third, God is creative. God is creative. God is not limited by the past. He is creative. He can change the way he does things. God is creative. Yɛmfa no entry trim. Tinye nwanwa sa Isaiah. Say, me nyame Okay, forget the past. Why? Because I am about to do a new thing. God is creative. He can change things and make it fit the same purpose. So God is creative. Don't forget this. God is consistent. God is unpredictable. God is creative. God is creative. Principle number 4 is that God meets people wherever they are. God meets people wherever they are. Throughout this seminar, we have emphasized and reiterated this particular point. Say, God meets people wherever they are. The same way, so where the gospels are. We have 4 gospels talking about the same thing. And you can see that everyone takes it from a different perspective. So God meets people wherever they are. God meets people wherever they are. That's principle number 4. Principle number 1, God is consistent. Principle number 2, God is unpredictable. Principle number 3, God is creative. Principle number 4, God meets people wherever they are. God meets people wherever they are. Principle number 5. Me pese ohwe na eboy mayeti ase and say, in prophecy, God uses the language of the prophets past and present. God uses the language of the prophet past and present. For example, when you get into the book of Revelation, God uses the language of the Old Testament, the one that John could relate to. So God uses the language of the prophet past and then present. Tina so always you when the tree adwene si apam dada mu nsem no eso otwe adwene esi ho ono fa asem no dey explain bibi. God want you to understand, uses the language of the prophets past and present. God is consistent. God is unpredictable. God is creative. God meets people wherever they are. God uses the language of the prophets past and then present. The prophet past and then present. Again, I want you to understand. Get the difference between apocalyptic prophecy and then classical prophecy. That is principle number 6. The difference between apocalyptic prophecy and classical prophecies. What is the difference? The apocalyptic prophecy, it picks from the prophet's day up to eternity, up to the second coming of Christ. That is apocalyptic prophecy. It employs imageries, symbolic language. That is apocalyptic prophecy. Classical prophecies are most of the times conditional. Conditional. A typical example of apocalyptic prophecy is what is found in the book of Revelation and the book of Daniel. And also classical prophecies, a typical example is Isaiah, Jeremiah. These prophecies, a typical example why I say classical prophecies are sometimes conditional. Remember Jonah, when God sent Jonah to go to Nineveh. You remember what happened? Brother Jonah could do asema nyame ka so obeye no. Nyame anye sa. Does that make Jonah say what you're true for? No. What you have to understand is that classical prophecies are conditional. When God says, I will do this because of this that you are doing. Na se what's some wadwina nyame nani enye se all punish ye. Enye nani je se ebia all ma ye ho akire ye. So God will obviously change his mind. And that is why I say that classical prophecies are always conditional. And it takes the circumstances, the prevailing circumstances of the prophets also. Again, principle number 7 is that the meaning to the original recipient. The meaning to the original recipient. What was the meaning to them? How did they understood what was written to them? The meaning to the original recipient. The meaning to the original recipient. Let us not forget this. Originally, the book of Revelation was written to the 7 churches. The 7 churches. So let us understand the meaning to the original recipient, this will help us to get a clearer understanding of the book. This will help us to get a clearer understanding of the book. And again, principle number 8, which happens to be the last principle I will talk about, is that prophecies become clearer after they have happened. Prophecies become clearer after they have happened. Ebra prophecy na esino afei ebeye clear entiase ebem when they have happened. Prophecies become clearer after they have happened. Having noticed all this, now we are coming to the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast. Yeba mark of the beast here. And yet, where do we get this? In the book of Revelation, where the mark of the beast can best be explained is the chapter number 13. Revelation chapter 13. Revelation chapter 13. Any Yeshua and there. See, Revelation chapter 13. Emma Renfi, send Yedi Kensian. Okay, Revelation chapter 12, verse 17. Was not transcending bufu obano, no kotuna se for Kayana Sosa. One no kuta Yankupon Ashedie, any Christ Yesu Adansian. The broad transcending bufu obano kotuna se for Kayana Sosan. And or call Kujina Puanon or Frere Abo free in Shumu Ebae, Epumu Ebae, Nini Fras Asumbae, and they both join him to form what I call the counterfeit trinity. The counterfeit trinity. Any interim decay. For trust and baby, I will be a bra ye be a co edisem. Ye a tea a dumiansa, a ho, and a addition EFF. So it's a Chemubako Urban was saying. And I stood upon the sand of the sea. You went in the air saying, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Naminwa abuabia or free a pumu air sorry. Tien. Having 7 heads and 10 horns. No, a train song and it may be a do. Yet was on, and upon the horns 10 crowns. Na ne mebe e do no ahimotre do ebobo mebe no. See, and upon his heads the name of blaspheming. Na abusudin e woni tire ho. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. Na abua mi hu no ete se sebo. Netie. And his feet like the feet of a bear. Na the 90 says 9, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. Na not to say jata ano. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Na ochiasia no edni to me. Na hingwa any ni to me nyina ema aboa no. Enuanom beso utia as Yohane hu ye aboa no epie afri epumo no. Just as ye nyina hu aboa bi pie afri puma de ebedi ka pie na beben. Yohane shall say describe from there. Or shall say describe from na beben no. Say, what say? Having 7, he says, beasts rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads. Uhu etrensu. One uhu na beben say eye edu. And upon his horns 10 crowns. Wasa ekan. Neti and upon his heads the name of blaspheming. And yanom no kwase me wom ni say sa ahenye wei a ye ka ne ho asem. Wase otwease no din tumi ema no. Otwease no eye hwan bonsam. But when you go to Revelation chapter 12, it will so otwease na one bonsam no a obo modern say oba ne wu a obechi oba ne ba na we no. You will say owu Kristo Yesu. Why the boy modern so obey Kristo Yesu every home? It is the Roman government. So the Otriasiano in Revelation chapter 12, we can identify it with the Roman government. The devil worked through the Roman government. So this was what Otriasiano to me, Emmanuel. And here we have seen in Revelation chapter 12, say Otriasiano a Roman government, and I said, Bonsam working through the Roman government. Our boy modern so obey Kristo Yesu every home. And what to me, Emma sa abua weya. I assume who yes, sa abua weya what to me, Emma no. Na ote say Otriasiano no. Nza abua no ene ne suba nyina se Kristo Yesu. Se na Kristo te say eja no. Sa nso na abua no te say Otriasiano no. Otriasiano no so wo kakra kokko kakraka a no wo etire nso ne mebe edu. aboa we so ye kan asem so owo etinson ene emeben edu anuanom tie haye wo se aboa no hu no e te se sebo na ne nan te se sisire enan na nano e te se jata ano se ye kan kona abon se aboa no ebie na no kasa perhaps you hear hu no se ni ositie aboa no wotire nson emeben du ahimotire du bobɔ ne men na afi aboa no we na wote se sebo aboa no 90 se sisire ebra aboa no bie na no o kasa na attention draw call na no ho no ohun se na no nso te se jata ano. But this also tells us something. Don't forget adesua yesu ne nyina ye di kaka say it rests, the book of Revelation rests on the broad foundation of the Old Testament. If so, let's go to the Old Testament, especially the twin book. I call the twin book the book of Daniel, whether we can glean some answers, where we can see a leopard and answer Sibo, Sisre, any jata, any abuabia, owo etre enson, no me ben duana, yentuam ni kankwe. In Daniel chapter 7, what happened in Daniel chapter 7? In Daniel chapter 7, yehui abua emwa enan, na emwa nine no, abua no di nkan ye jata. O ni otoso mienu eye sisre, ni otoso miensa eye sebo, ni otoso nine eye abua bi a Daniel entima modi oye ngonwonan no o mebendu. No kwase mo se aha nso sam we nyina yehu omudi wa hanom. Yehu abua bi o mebendu. O yehu abua bi o etire nson. Yehu abua wote se sebo. Na abua ne 90 se sisre. Na no te se jata ano. Let's go into the Old Testament, Daniel chapter 7, and see whether we can glean some answers. Going into Daniel chapter 7. And you know, say Daniel chapter 7. The question was abua no di nkan na ni tie baako. Jata. Ni otoso mienu na ni tie baako sisre. Ni otoso miensa na ni tie nan sebo no na ni tie nan ebeka ho a emenya sei ensia. Ni otwa to abua otoso nan na ni tie baako ebeka ho a yenya tire sei ensom. About Revelation chapter 13 abua free ensom pie no etire dodo sei no tire ensom. And you call Daniel chapter 7 and one you come so we get 7. It tells you there's a connection. Let's see whether we can continue with the connections. Say connection be now. In Daniel chapter 7, yehu jata, yehu sisre, yehu sebo. Revelation chapter 13, yehu jata, yehu sisre, yehu sebo. So there is a connection. In Daniel chapter 7, yehu abuan no chat one so no meben say edu. Oh, Yamra Revelation chapter 13. Abua free so by Abuana no meben do say edu. There is a connection. There is a connection. And we are going to see the connection very well, very soon. And you know no kwase me womni. Abua no Daniel chapter 7, no, especially the last beast. The last beast, the fourth beast. Or say obiana no ka abususem. Yamra Revelation chapter 13. In Revelation chapter 13 so abua no free so by and was na abusuden e woni tire ho. So we see a connection. No question me womni. So where bra Yohane a describe no ohun abua no a oye nwonwan o mebendu no wo tire nsom. Na abua no ohun no o se what sesebo. Oh, na abua ne 90 sesisire. Na afi abua no nso ohun no afi wo sa kire mu no wo se na no te se jata no. Oba Daniel nso a Daniel kirechem no ohun jata sisire sebo ena aboa nwonwonan. Yohane nso ehya asefiri aboa nwonwonan a owo emeben sei edu na owo tire nsom pepepe ena ofiri ho no woti si se aboa no woti se sebo na na 90 se sisire na na no ti se de ben jata no enti we start nwonwonan ena oba ede ben sebo ena oba sisire ena oba jata. Banso Daniel de ostate eka jata sisre sebo ena aboa nwonwonan no. Why is that Daniel sha say jata sisre sebo na aboa nwonwonan no? Na Yohane de sha say from aboa nwonwonan no na afi wo de ba eye sebo no de ba sisre no de ba jata. Daniel describe sa eba form. Yohane nso fa free form and wo de air kosro. Enuanom eniji sema wom Albert Matthias said Daniel was looking into the future. By the time Daniel was describing this, which kingdom was ruling? It was the Babylonian Empire. And so Daniel looked into the future to see that there will be another empire, that is the Medo-Persian kingdom, that is Sisre, and there will be another empire, that is Greece, there will be another empire, that is Rome. So he was looking into the future, and Daniel talked about Rome getting divided into 10, and Daniel talked about Rome, a little horn appearing, and that had eyes and mouth that spoke blasphemous words against the Most High. Now, at the time Yohani Enso Etrono, the time that he was writing, the kingdom that was ruling the whole world was Rome. That time, na Babylon about him. That time, na Medo-Persia about him. Na Greece about him. So Yohani was also looking to the past, reflecting of the things that had come into the past. It didn't know shas yet from what was prevailing, and then was looking into the past. Senior Daniel, a shas and was looking into the future. Yohani was also looking into the past to bring the past into memory for us to get a clearer understanding. No question so about Daniel chapter 7, the little horn. Abebenki twane pie wo emebendu no entem no anu wa ni anu aka bususem so bo ne trim so be sa emre ene mra no odi nyame akonkrofo no ehye nsa ebre emre ene brefa. There is no doubt that this beast in Revelation chapter 13 ayehu eno ye Rome ahinie. Na Rome ahinie no question was okwa Daniel chapter 7 ehun say Rome ahinie ne hyase edu, and later on a little one came. We saw that this little one later on was given power from the Roman civil authority. And yabehu in Revelation chapter 13 that this beast takes its power from the dragon, which is the Roman civil authority. So there is no doubt that the beast of Revelation chapter 13 is equivalent and the same as the little horn of Daniel chapter 7. So Daniel chapter 7, the little one of Daniel chapter 7 is the same as the beast of Revelation chapter 13. Why am I saying so? Because in that the little one in Daniel chapter 7, oh, the beast of Revelation chapter 13, and so no busudi home. Oh, the little one in Daniel chapter 7, or high Namia Konkro for emre and a brefa, which is 1260 years. The beast in Revelation chapter 13, one a high Namia Konkro for 42 months, which is 3.5 years, which equal 1260 days, which is 1260 years. The little one in Daniel chapter 7, and the high Namia Konkro for from 538 to 1798, 1260 years. The same thing in Revelation chapter 13. So you can understand that the little one in Daniel chapter 7 parallels the beast of Revelation chapter 13. The little one of Daniel chapter 7 parallels the beast of Revelation chapter 13. So having noticed that, then the beast of Revelation chapter 13 is no other beast than the Catholic paper system. It is no other power than the Catholic paper system. So if it is a Catholic paper system, and we have to be cautious. Anytime we talk about the Catholic paper system, we want people to understand that, and yet the members there that we are talking about a system. Today, if I am given the opportunity to go to Rome and preach to Pope Francis, I will hurriedly go, because he also needs to receive the 3 angels message. So the system will continue. So sometimes, anytime we are talking about the mark of the beast, and so we are not speaking against the people who are Catholics, and let us not preach in a way that will be offensive to our brothers who are Catholics, as if we are preaching against them. Let us talk about the system. And the beast of Revelation 13 was for 42 months, from the year 538 to the year 1798, the papal system killed so many people. They were called heretics. And so many times whenever I'm preaching this message in evangelistic series, I normally do not even mention the Catholic Church. And some people will tell you, you meet evangelists, they will tell you, say, oh, what the assembly is here. No. I always say, the Christian church at that time persecuted other Christian group. And to tell you the truth, at that time we had a single Christian church. And that was the Catholic papal system. It was a Christian church. So sometimes we need to be tactful whenever we are preaching the message of the mark of the beast, because it can be so offensive. I know truth, how it is offensive to the one who is in error. And so, mama ye nimfi ebra ye ka aboa gina ye ho asem. Enuanom echiye bia ni ho. Sa aboa ye ka ne ho asem the Catholic paper system. The Catholic paper system. And you know what's what high nyame akonkrofo no for 42 months, which is 3.5 years, which in days will be 1,260 days, but on commission 1,260 years from the year 538 AD, when Emperor Justinian gave the Bishop of Rome the power to rule over all bishops, and then he had authority even over civil powers. Why? Because at a point in time, there was a man named Constantine, an emperor, who became a Christian. That time, Christianity was an illegal religion in the Roman Empire. When Constantine became a Christian, he came into the Christian church and brought a lot of things into the Christian church. So you can see that almost all the governors have become Christians. So you as a governor, when you come to the church, you are under the priest. So this is how the priest gained power and gain power. I feel to me even over civil authorities. And you know, I have taken a lot of things. I have assumed so many things. So we are not going to what then is the mark of the beast? What then is the mark of the beast? Revelation chapter 13. Why you? And one year, and in Revelation chapter 13, verses 13 coming to 17, and then verse 18. In here was it. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh the fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceived them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image of the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And there will be a death decree to those who will not receive the mark of the beast. So what is then the mark of the beast? In Revelation chapter 14. So it's here, Revelation chapter 14. So where? Revelation chapter 14. Verse 9, was it? And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if anyone worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark on his forehead or his hand. So the mark of the beast is supposed to be received on the forehead or on the hand. The mark of the beast must be in contrast with the seal of the living God. What is the seal of the living God? When you read the Bible too, it tells us that the seal of God was supposed also to be in the forehead. My Revelation chapter 7, the seal of God and wasem. In Revelation chapter 7, say no capture the seal of God. No, am I in Revelation chapter 7, verse 1 coming? Was it? And after this, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth. that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor the sea, nor any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, so we have sealed the servants of God on their foreheads. Oh, I said, one of Beja Bonajina or just one maso, and that's one sasso. The seal of God is also supposed to be on the forehead. So the seal of God, or the mark of the beast, is in contrast with the seal of God. So what then is the mark of the beast? And what is the seal of God? The seal of God can easily be gleaned from the scriptures. That will help us to unravel what the mark of the beast is. The seal of God. You can't the seal of God. In the Old Testament, there was a covenant, and covenants are always sealed. And the one who is giving the covenant always seal the covenant, and we have the seal that contains his name, his authority, and then his territory. The covenant was given to us in the form of the 10 commandments, and this was sealed, and the seal can be found also in the 4th commandment that talk about remembering the Sabbath to keep it holy. In the book of Ezekiel, the seal was a protection, or the mark was a protection for all those who have the mark. So in this last days, those who have the mark of the beast will be protected against the death penalty. A protection of some kind of sort. So, what is the seal of God? Having seen that the seal of God is found in the 10 commandments, and the seal of God, the Bible tells us clearly that we are sealed by the Holy Spirit. Ellen White made clear to us that to receive the seal of God is settling into the truth. What we mean by settling into the truth is that you are not moved. Nothing can move you from this truth. So you are sealed by the Holy Spirit. You are settled in the truth. And in the covenant, we see the Sabbath. And the Sabbath shows that God is the creator. He is the ruler. And that is why when you go into the book of Revelation, specifically Revelation chapter 12 to Revelation chapter 14, where we talk about the end time conflict and the response of the remnant, 7 times there's a call to worship the beast. Only 1 time is a call to worship the creator. And that can be found in Revelation chapter 14, verse 7, the 3 angels message. And this is given in the language of the 4th commandment of the Old Testament. And this saying your so near Sase Epone as a training your woman. The dead Tosson sono, a rather home free in more ye now, a radish radano tehoya and a concron. And you know, 7 times in the book of Revelation is a call to worship the beast. Only once is a call to worship the one who made the heavens and the earth and the sea. This call is given in the language of the 4th commandment in the Old Testament. 7 times there's a call to worship the beasts and a strong warning against worshiping the beasts. The 1 time there's a call to worship the creator is given in the language of the 4th commandment. So the seal of God is no other than the 7th-day Sabbath. That is the seal of God. So what then will be the mark of the beast? Obviously, the mark of the beast will be a counterfeit Sabbath of sorts. So here we will have about 4 options. 1 is to take another day apart from the holy Sabbath of God. That will be a mark of the beast. 2, if you say no day is a Sabbath. That one can also be. 4 is you say every day is a Sabbath. That can also be. And then 5, to ban or forbid the worship of Sabbath. These are the 4 candidates, probable candidates. So which one will be? As a Seventh-day Adventist who has been reading the Great Controversy several times, Ellen White talks about the mark of the beast, and she was plain as being Sunday worship. Question assume. And in the Great Controversy, page 588, paragraph 1, Ellen White says, Sunday sacredness and spiritualism. But do we say that Sunday is the only probable time that we can say? I want you to understand the mark of the beast is the counterfeit Sabbath. When there is a decree, a legislature enforcing a worship of a day other than the original day, other than the Sabbath of the Lord. So it can be any other day. But the probable candidates are the best option are Seventh-day Adventists call for a Sunday worship. Why? Because the beast of Revelation chapter 13, we have identified it with the Catholic paper system. And they also say that the mark of their ecclesiastical authority is Sunday worship. And that is why Seventh-day Adventists normally say that Sunday worship is the mark of the beast. But to tell you exegetically, the mark of the beast is in contrast with the Sabbath of the, or the seal of the living God, which is the Sabbath. So the mark of the beast will be a counterfeit Sabbath. But because the beast is identified with the Catholic paper system, and what they say is the mark of their authority, ecclesiastical authority, is Sunday. Sunday is a probable option as the mark of the beast. But we do not limit ourselves just to say Sunday is the mark of the beast. It is a probable option as the mark of the beast. So the mark of the beast is the counterfeit Sabbath. So any time there's a legislature, anytime there's a decree, a law enforcing a different day of worship instead of the 7-day Sabbath, that day becomes the mark of the beast. And at that time, we say whoever will worship and neglect or ignore the Sabbath of the living God will be deemed as having received the mark of the beast. Because there is no legislature enforcing a different day of worship instead of the 7-day Sabbath, we cannot claim that anyone has the mark of the beast. So let us be very careful anytime we want to talk about the mark of the beast. There's another important aspect of this that I want to bring to our attention, and I'll bring this service today to an end. Another important aspect today has to do with one point that Seventh-day Adventists have fought so many times over. It has to do with Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. And I want to read. What does the Bible say? Verse 18. Here is wisdom. Your wadwene mu aboa ne nkontanto ano. Na aboa ne nkontanto ano eye nipa nkontanto ano, na ne nkontanto ano no eye ahensia aduesiensia. For the number of the beast is the number of man, and his number is 636. 666. And me kind trust some 666. What I see is that 666, almost the same thing. 666, the one that we can be familiar with. You can say 666. What does it mean? What is 666? Any day. For Seventh-day Adventists have long recognized the beast of Revelation 13 with the Catholic paper system. In the Catholic paper system, some years back, the Catholic had authority. And the authority, Constantine, we call it a fiducial donation by Emperor Constantine to the Bishop of Rome. And this fiducial donation was a title known as Vicarius Filii Dei. Vicarius Filii Dei. What about now checking Roman numerals here, we are going to get 666. It is so even in their meta. Child motion going Vicarius Filii Dei, Vicar of the Son of God. And for some time, even in 2002, I was at school. Remember, former Biblical Research Institute director was the one who talked about the mark of the beast and talking about the 666, the number of the beast. There were a lot of arguments, and people believe that it cannot be vicarious filidae. They are saying we should even throw away that particular thing. But I just want you to understand. I'll recommend to you a book written by one particular scholar, South African scholar of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, known as Edwin de Kock. He wrote a book, 666 and the Great Apostasy. And then in the book, we're able to discover where he went into world public libraries and he was able to gather information to the effect that this fictitious donation, this particular title, vicarious filidae, is no more in use. But at a particular point in time, it was in use from the year 750 to the year 1800s AD. They used this particular title and it fell into disuse around 1800s. Now 750 to the year 1800s, so contagious, or it seemed to para 538 to 1798, 1,260 years. Now, this is the period that you can also identify the beast of Revelation chapter 13 with the Catholic papal system. And this is the period that he used that particular title, vicarious filidae. So we can as well apply this to the number of the beast, which is 666. It is sure and solid and true. So Seventh-day Adventists, we have not been deceived. It is indeed the truth that the number of the beasts, we used vicarious filidae. I know people have tried to use the name of Ellen White and they have got 666. But to tell you the truth, did Ellen White persecute the saints of God for 1,260 years? No. Did Ellen White blaspheme against the God of heaven? No. So if you are using, there should be the only power that fulfills everything. And we can identify what is the Catholic papal system. So vicarious filidae is indeed solid and can be used. And can be used. One scholar who also had a particular problem with vicarious filidae, but later on in 2014, I read one of his commentary, and he had come to accept it. I'm talking about one of the greatest scholars in our church with regard to the book of Revelation, John Paulin. He has come to accept vicarious filidae. And I know the Seventh-day Adventist Church, we have not been deceived. So to tell you the truth, the mark of the beast is the counterfeit Sabbath. So today, the seal of God we have seen is the Sabbath. Senyame nso ano ene ne homeda. Ena aboa na gina ye the counterfeit Sabbath there. Senyame nso ano ne homeda dia ene mebusa wo sei ena wodi wo homeda. Eni anam achinye bia ni wo senyame so ne ma ano. Na senyame nso ano ne homeda dia sei na wodi wo homeda. Sei na wodi homeda no eye. Yanom ebre ti se mu ayese me ani bre ni edi ye homeda ni. Ni ye na konkron sa bre ena ne edru memenda ni ekudura so de ma oni ye ka NDC ni MPP eho eni ye go ka Manchester eni Real Madrid sei na wodi homeda bonsama hu se woni nyame homeda no se ne de to so nso memenda no ontimi nyi influence na mom he will make it useless with you. Ontimi nyi influence wonim nanso kuta homeda ni mo, but it has become nothing to you. You don't welcome the Sabbath. It is not a happy day for you. The Sabbath has become an ordinary day. That's what the devil do. Already hu ya mobo no moye. No one shading. Ni hu ya nakan. Ni enya nyansa akoma. Already shading ni hu bra ye wom se e bra ni kwanse ye de homeda ye toto nase. If it's nyame hu say that is the seal of God. Na nyame e so ne ma no dia. And ye kwan fa so di ye homeda no is extremely important. And yanom eradu omwaye na omaye ntiase ebra omye hu se ne homeda ene ne so anan omye hu aboa na agina ye onhyira ye ne ene da. Amen.
Amen. Also for Ernest Kusi Bachi Onyamisha sɛ ɔma ho kwan na ɔnam wɔ so na ɔde nsɛm kunyina ɛte sɛ anwummerɛ yi so wode ama yɛ na memma ɛberɛ a yɛduru sua yi no ɛyɛ berɛ a yɛba bɛtie dwom na afei yɛwie a yɛgyina so de abɔ mpaeɛ no nti menkyɛn ho no yɛmɛfrɛ Agyekum family Dusseldorf na ɔmama yɛnwom a yɛdi hɔ ɛwɔ yɛsom yɛ mu yɛwie a na afei yɛwura yɛ mpaebɔ no mu.
Mesomo mejonyami mesomo Midima braboni na shemonsa Mesomo mejonyami mesomo Midima braboni na shemonsa One me kwa fukesi Majikwa penyami Mina wana menya dinina rani Mesomo majikwe Midima braboni na shewonsa Ampara wane mebwa fukesi Majikwa penyami Mina wana menya dinina rani Mesomo majikwe Midima braboni na shemonsa Mesomo mejonyami mesomo Midima braboni na shemonsa Mesomo mejonyami mesomo Midima braboni na shemonsa One me bwa fokesi Majikwa penyami Minya wana menya dinina Mesomo majikwe Midima braboni na shemonsa Ampara one me bwa fokesi Majikwa penyami Minya wana menya dinina rani Mesomo majikwe Midima braboni na shemonsa Baby ayeti Midima braboni na shemonsa Oni biaje Midima braboni na shemonsa Akucha ngamye Midima braboni na shemonsa Kwa yeri beyo Midima braboni na shemonsa Ampara wane mebwa fukesi Majikwa penyami Minya wana menya dinina radi Mesomo majikwe Midima braboni na shewonsa Amen.
And someone say, Amen. Mesomo Midima braboni na shewonsa Opani George Agyekum Yemame Mary and afei yenuaba Abigail hunyamishamo ewo dwumu amato sonko ete amaye ewo se esumerade ampa na nyumrei hunyame asem a odi amaye se ewo se esum den erade titru bra odi the seal nsano a ye homeda odi ache nti mesre na Opani Agyekum Elder Agyekum George Dusseldorf Obeda rade asia maye se wonam na dum so amfa na asema hintaye na ode nam ne twosem so maye na nyumrei osofo so wasan esisu bio ame yahunu se omeda no ayesom no ehira kese pa de maye sesei ene de nyina nti mesre na Opani Agyekum ade rade asia na fei wabompaye asre se ne homeda rade ode ache no asame yahunu no kre no ona ho ase emaye
Bible tifo nyame o mada wasi nwumre da wasi bebre woni agini yie ajapa senye wo nka hwan ne bituma dom yense yie wahwe nso free mofrase bepim sa brain na ugusu chire na isan se wo pese ana se yo pese da chimbe ye ba onche ofi baji ahome afi ye betena wona ase da bia na yasomo enti otamfo no nhyehyɛ ya wode asie ya nka ye hu wa polish no fine ya ye hu no wona modum so na fe wu bia ni akire o me hu se onyame wo homeda wode amaye no se diswa ye mmeremui nyamom ye diswa ye nhyira kase maye eno ne hu zo otamfo no so adane no ono so se ono so da foforo nso so ye nhyira nanso enmonyan kan ya onyame se wona makoa so ebie eso ebie ani akire ye da wase bebre yeso boaye ma honhom hyede on tetere na fe yetimi fa kwa no so yentimi nsomo da kronkron ma yesu nyina anya ofe na ra tibia se opie wo hememu a ya anya yiraba ebre ti se ye obonsamani abre ya won so wo twe akra de ko nanso ni se onyame obeye nse tira won chen a nkwaje ho mai ti yeso boy na na yesu nyina na yemfa nya dwuma yenni so yenim se edi so a anya kwa be yenhyira mai ye da wase bebre se otie mpa bobre mu o Kristo Yesu din mu nti amen
Amen. Opanye Jekum. Yeda sabre bese na opanye Emmanuel Jemfi Frankfurt. Opanye Emmanuel Jemfi. Wabon paya di sui amaye. Also for me who say teach you say the mark of the beast ya boano ejina yeno aya wonu mu a wonu beko oseyi mu a na asese nsempa wei ekọ wiase afa na nyina asese yenuanom yebusua yenamfonom ene wona aka nyina ba bia o sa asem edru bia na yetimi ebo ho dawro ema wonom etie se na ebeya wonom ebe free sa na da esumi mu no mo ewra onyankopon esumu se na ebeya se na trosem aka no wonom benya fa hodie ene wonom salvation anunti ebesre na so penny Emmanuel Jemfi wabompaye asre de yenuanom a wonom enti san kanse mashirade sana fe wasre se nkanse betimi ahita fa wiase nyina titru enam ye memeda kwanfo eso ene nkanse ma abanyumre se beto apeti wiase afa na nyina natumi atwe afofo adwene asiso yene asor penny Emmanuel Jemfi Emompaye.
Yamompaye. Aduna sunde hina ne nyame ayini asida pa Kristo so enka udin. Uma yeda wasi wa kanfu udin. Ewo ohun sema wona wodom so ede ama ye bra etise yemu. Eno na yeso se Yehowa ye mpese ye pese munkuminya. Asema wona wa kwa so ede ama ye yeso se ye fam dia ye betimi ede aduru afofo nchen boaye na intim tu sa anamo sa fata no se ne be ya upia nke ne sa afo no nyina so enye iraba ewo wanim sa nso na ye srede nkransem a anuano ne adofo ne asofo mpanifo de ema ye ne afoforo nyina so ehyew nsa senya Yehowa fa konkron no edi achi se ne be ya asemi ebe kokko drum pepe so apesa asemi dru wode otima de nyina ye yesrew Yehowa se wo man so kan ho yentimi nso emfa semi nso nko de be si akwan bi anu ntiema ye emfa semi enko de so se ma no empare ye se yakwadworo se ye ni ha ye fam dia tumi wura wode ahye nsa se yenye bia se ma ye ho ahodin ne yentimi ntu sa na mo na siesie ye ne afoforo nyina ama nkwa gye ne upia nka ya nya yiraba ye ni adum pini eso yumre se de adum ye kan ho ne nso ti mfa no hoforo Okristo Yesu di mu nti amen
Amen. Yeda wase opanyi sabre yebebo yempa ye twato ne besre na yeda na wose ya wabo mpaye ama ye se onyame omoaye enche na ne ma to mienu no wayi ne ho adi na eye bra also ne ma no yenya hobobo a ne entwen no yenya ho siesie fi se se odi ye ka wona wo so ne ma o so wona no no a ebe ye de yi pa nti on fa ye nyina bra ye siesie ho with a Christian lifestyle and it said ebe di na pedie ne aye na hyede nyina no awade beboa ye na nso ano no so ye setumi aka bi ansana we ni ma ye to so mi ready me ni asore pani emompaye
Yɛndɔfoɔ yɛda wo ase. Wopɛ sɛ wogye wo ma nti daa woyi wo ho adi de kyerɛ wo ma. Na wonam wo nsɛm so tu yɛn fo sɛdeɛ ɛbɛyɛ na wobɛdaadaa sɛ ɛbɛyɛ a yɛnhyeɛ na wopia wo ma yɛnyɛ firi mu tɔ. Anwummere yɛda wo ase wɔ wo nsɛm a wode ama yɛn. Kyerɛ sɛ nkyerɛ na woyi ne ho adi ne mpire no so. Na berɛ yi na wonam w'asɛm so atu yɛn fo. Futuo kyerɛ sɛ wode kae adwene sɛ wopɛ sɛ wosɔ yɛ ano sɛdeɛ ɛbɛyɛ na wopie a wo mma yɛn nyinaa bɛnya nkwagye de ama yɛn kora. Nti anwummere wo nsɛm a yɛateɛ firi na wɔtwe ahyɛse bɛsi nnɛ da yi, yɛsrɛ wo sɛ ma ne nkanya akoma ne adwene. Ma yɛmfa wo twerɛsɛm no nyɛ adwuma sɛdeɛ ɛbɛyɛ a ɛbɛte wo nsɛm ase. Na berɛ a nkyɛ na woba yi no, ka wosɔ wo ma no a woasɔ yɛn nso ano bi ɛde asie da no. Sɛ woba anka aba biara nyɛ firi mu tɔ. Nti mesrɛ wo sɛ hwɛ me ne wo nuanom mmɔbɔ ɛtie sufrɛ ne nkotosrɛ. Pɛ sɛ yɛwo pa a berɛ a wosɔ wo ma no yi, ma wo nsɛm bi a yɛteɛ no mfiri mu da biara da. Na mmom ɛntena yɛn mu sɛdeɛ ɛbɛyɛ a de bɛbɔ brɛ pa na ahyɛ wo nimonyam sɛ wonya maa yɛn mpo na sɛ yɛfiri mu a ɛwu ato w'ase nnua no ase. Da bɛyi ho ade ne mpire no so no, ma yɛn nyinaa nya nkwagye de ama yɛn kora. Srɛ wo sɛ anwummere hu yɛn mmɔbɔ sane sɛ yɛbusa no Yesu Kristo din mu nti. Amen.
amen unyame ma yɛda yɛn bɔfoɔ no ase saa berɛ yi yɛde yɛsom no ɛbɛsi ha sɛne ɛbɛyɛ ahoboaboa na ɔkyena anɔpa yɛtumi ahyia mu ntɛm. Ɛno nti mɛsrɛ ne atie nkabɔsɛm a ɛdedi so yi sɛne ɛbɛyɛ ɛbɛhyɛ no nso. Ɔkyena nɔpa nɔnkron sima dunum apa nɔnkron ɛho 9:15 yɛde yɛn mpaebɔ som no ɛbɛhyɛ aseɛ 9:15 to 9:45 na afei yɛahyɛ yɛn Sabbath school no ase from 9:45 ɛkorɔ no. Nti mɛsrɛ na yɛ ahoboaboa a titiriw asɔrepanyin Sam Dam afei yɛ maame Deborah Gyamfo a ɛne Elder Tachi Abebio. Yɛho singers yɛnya ahoboaboa a yɛwɔ nnwomtoɔ anɔpa no. Afei yɛadesua no yɛne danana wo sɛ yɛ bɛsua Agyekom family yɛnsiesie ho yɛwɔ nnwomtoɔ nso ɛwɔ Sabbath school berɛ no mu. Na afei mission sport yɛ maame Gertrude Boateng mmɔfra no nso so dwumadie no bɛba so saa ara. Na afei Elder Ansugye Aboɔ nso so ɛde the closing prayer no ama. Afei general announcement nso yɛbɛtie yɛfiri hɔ a ne yɛwura divine service no nti yɛfa no sɛ ɔkyena no ɛmmɔ bɛyɛ sɛ 1:15 ne yɛde anɔpa som no nyinaa ba na wieɛ. Na afei yɛagye ahome yɛama break na ɛbɔ anwummerɛ no nɔnan pɛpɛɛpɛ a yɛbɛsan hyia mu bio. Yɛbɛtie ɔsɔfoɔ no exclusive Boakye presentation no na owie a yɛde questions any contributions and answers no yɛde ne nyinaa nso atoa so. Nti ofiri ɔkyena anwummerɛ no nɔnan kɔsi nonsia no na yɛde yɛdwumadie no nyinaa no aba na wie. Nti mɛsɛ sɛ mo yɛnhwɛ no so. Na ɔkyena nɔpa 9:15 mo nyinaa yɛnsa nhyia mu ɛwɔ ahoma yi so. Onyame ɔnhyira yɛn na ɔnka yɛn ho ɛwɔ n'adom mu nti. Amen. Yɛbɛsrɛ na ɔsɔfoɔ Ernest Kwesi Boakye abɔ yɛn mpaeɛ atwa toɔ no ama yɛn.
Yɛda wase Twedi Ampɔn. Homeda yi wama yɛhu wo nsɛm. Sɛ yɛte bi akyɛ koraa na ɛnɛ wakyerɛkyerɛ yɛn. Yɛade srɛdeɛ paa ɛnɛ ne sɛ fa wo nkronkron dom yɛn. Ɔnhyɛ yɛn den na ahome da wo dia kyeye ntimi ni na enche na wo pia befa mapa na kon ya nye frimuto shirai ebra wo so ma no so ya no ntimi nka ma no ho na pia etimi aka mapa no ho akodida ensa wei ne yakra kodo ya busa ya gyenkwa ne sofa panyin Yesu Kristo di mu ahotifo nyina nka amen.
Amen.
Amen. Osofo nyame ensha. Nyame ma maye nyina ho mespa.
Sidi ntitimu a wanhwɛ me no ntem. Amen.
Show me.
Osafo Kingsley. Osafo Kingsley, happy Sabbath.
Happy day, Opani Sam.
Now what is I?
Unyamiatum. Me hoye pa, me jiri so hoye.
Yes, I don't know bo.
Pastor, happy Sabbath.
Ma Missy, happy day.
She said, "Yeah, prison for kakra." Yeah, prisoners kakra. Na Frankfurt to say.
Unyamiatum, bibia boko.
Me asifa.
Yes, I said who sit here.
That's it, mommy.
Pastor Pacho, na what the announcement kakra mo ho asande me na ebia echna ebetimi announce amamwa.
Mpacho you.
Miss Medas.
Yes.
What the mama WhatsApp and I say whatever, I don't know.
Mpacho you. The best end.
Yeah. Yeah, na me my ochna.
Yo. Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye.